Hello and welcome to October's questions and answers video. I like to do these Q&A videos every month, and it's your chance as the community to ask me anything you like, hopefully around the Warhammer hobby, and I will do my best to give you an answer. So sit back, relax, get yourself a nice hot beverage and bathe in the questions from the community. I like to read the questions from the Discord channel. The server is just called Super Saiyan, but if you're not on Discord, you're more than welcome to put your questions in the comments section down in this video for next time. And the next Q&A video will be on November the 1st. It seems like a long way away, but that's going to creep up very quickly. So the first question I have was by XelaFX. They ask, do you think Orks will ever get a new release? Yes, I do. I think all of the model range needs a huge refresh, like it did sort of 5 years ago or so, when they brought out the Mega Knobs and the Gorkanaut. I think it's a shame that like the Gorkanaut is the price it is. Now I've already started talking about pricing, but compared to like the Stomper and things, it's most of the range at the moment is an alright price. So it's, and you do get a fair amount of models, and you will need a lot of models. And Gazgul at the moment of recording this in October, still not released separately, and he's been and he was released in a army box set, in a 2-Force army box set quite a few months ago. Will I get him? Yeah, I probably will get him. Just to update the kind of 20-year-old metal model that you've probably seen the review of today. That is showing its age, and it would be nice to get a new orc model. I hope they bring out many more other units. That would be brilliant in terms of new bigger walkers, in terms of bigger faster tanks with cannons on, bigger orcs, I mean, and updates for like the Storm Boys and the Commandos, and all kinds of factions, scenery, loads more scenery. I'm not just talking about the Mechboy workshops and things like that. I'm talking about like fungi type scenery, rocks and flora and fauna that have been infected by the orkoid fungus. That's what I'm talking about. Zaya Glory Hallelujah asks, is there a Mrs. Super Saiyan? There was, and now there isn't. Very sad time, but you know, life goes on. So I hope that answers your question. Next question is by Rogue, and they ask, if you could reverse some changes made to 40k over the years, what would they be? I'd probably say the pricing. I would have had more starter sets available, different ways of getting people into the hobby, more clubs. I think when I was a child, clubs seemed to be really pushed, and now I can't find many clubs near where I live anyway. If Games Workshop want to sell more, and they do, I think the best way to do that is through clubs, is promoting clubs, help local people set up clubs, whether that be sending them boards, sending them a couple of armies, you know, and I'm not just talking about like gaming clubs in terms of, oh, you've got 2 or 3 hours once a week. I'm talking about maybe a painting workshop where if people live quite a long distance away from the stores, like an hour or 2 away, then I'm talking about you can just go down to your local village hall or community centre or something with your paints and just paint with everyone if you want to do that. I mean, obviously now at the moment with everything going on with the virus and things, that, you know, that and gaming clubs is not tangible right now, but I think that's one of the changes I would have made. I would have put a focus on the clubs and like painting get-togethers. One of the reasons why I've started these live streams with painting and building. But 40k also changes in terms of the rules and things, not put so much focus on one thing, like, oh, this edition is, well, mainly focused on shooting. Now we're coming into 9th edition, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on blast weapons and wounds and close combat. I would have introduced Kill Team a lot earlier and have much smaller games with like a squad versus a squad. more 40k video games, 40k movies, basically a number of all those things. It's quite a wide question to ask about 40k. Numo, he asks, from the Forge World site, which Legion specific Terminator squad do you like the most, tabletop and or looks? Well, that's a fantastic question. You're saying Legion specific. I do like the Iron Warriors, Legion Tyrant Siege Terminators, and I like how Rogaldorn used them later on. I also really like the Death Shroud Terminators and possibly the Phoenix Terminators, but non-specific, yeah, it has to be the Custodes equivalent. Those Terminators are thick. I mean, I really like those. So they're my favourite ones from Forge World. Terminators with Cyclone missile launchers on the top, on the armour, are just, yeah, amazing anyway, and to have a whole squad of them with Iron Warriors is just, yeah, fantastic. But I do like the close combat focused ones like the Death Shroud. 8-Bit asks, do you think 9th edition 40k is one of the easy edition to get into, start playing for beginners and returning players? Yes, I do. I think they've continued to simplify it. I think it's as simple as it can be without going down the Age of Sigmar route, making it oversimplified. It's certainly a lot easier to get into than 5th and 6th and 7th edition. Those editions got very convoluted with special rules, and that's one of the things I see with Horus Heresy. I think that's one of the things that bogs that game system down by with having special rules that aren't necessarily explained in the book that they're in. You have to find another book, or rule book or whatever. But what I'm saying is, there's a lot of units that have a lot of special rules, different special rules, whereas at least 8th and 9th now, they have the rules right there on the unit profiles, and there's only 1 or 2 rules that you're going to have to look up somewhere else for. Echo One Actual asks, do you prefer resin or plastic models, and why? Very good question. It's a one or another question, really. It's almost like, well, if you had to pick one, if only one could exist, which would you pick? Nowadays, I would go for plastic. I prefer plastic models, just because they are lighter. They are, I say, easier to work with in terms of preparation time. So you can get them out of the box, clip them off the sprue, take off all the little sprue chaff, get rid of the mold lines, and put them together. Whereas resin, they do have slightly more detail, but one of the reasons why I do prefer plastic nowadays is because the amount of detail that Games Workshop have been able to achieve on plastic models right now is just incredible. They've surpassed themselves, and they're improving all of the time. I can't wait to see all of the extra detail on the newer Xenos models. So that swayed me over to plastic more. I mean, resin is great, and there's a lot of detail, and it's just you have to prep the pieces so much more. You have to wash them, you have to cut the gates off, you have to sand them down, which again is hazardous. It is literally hazardous to do that. And then once you put them together, there are air bubbles, there's slippage, there's different tolerances of finish and fit. And once you've glued them together, there's no guarantee that they will fit snugly or smooth. So you might have to use heat treatment to bend them. There's just a lot of, I say, faffing. But if you're like me and you view this as a hobby rather than a chore to build the models or something like that, then you might enjoy that. And I have built so many resin models that I just take that as part of the hobby now, and I enjoy it. But yeah, if I had to pick, I'd go for plastic, because usually it's cheaper, but the downside of getting all this extra detail with plastic models is that now Games Workshop are bumping up the prices, so much so that you're paying £105 for 2 sprues, which is, yeah, abhorrent. I want to use that word. Anyway, I hope that answers the question fully. The Dark Omen asks, what is your favourite army to play on the tabletop? I would say the Titan Legion, mainly because there are a lot fewer things for me to remember. I can recall the different types of big weapons, the wounds, the saves, things like that, and it just looks so fun having just a couple of models on the board, moving or not moving, and just letting rip with those world-shattering weapons, the most powerful weapons in the 40k lore and universe, getting to see just how destructive they are. That's my favourite army, because it takes a lot of work and a lot of money to just assemble such a force. And in my opinion, it's extremely rewarding to see them all on there. Following on from the Titan Legion though, I'd probably say orks. Orks are an incredibly funny army to play on the battlefield. I always have a good game. I don't play to win, I play to have fun, and if I'm not having fun, then there's really no point. I just would rather go and do something else. I don't play in any tournaments, and I'm more of a narrative player. I like to build a theme around an army, whether it be shooty or mech based or anti-titan weaponry, things like that. Blue Flame 27411 asks, how do you feel about conversions and proxies? I'm all for them. What I'll say is, being an orc player as well, and with the Death Guard army, I'd say, yeah, go for conversions as much as you like. It's your hobby. Proxies, I'd say proxies in the very strictest term, in terms of, like, if you've got a squad of 10 Space Marines and they've all got bolt guns, and you want to say that one of them has a melter gun, as long as it's written on a army list and things, should be fine. I mean, it depends on your opponent. If your opponent agrees, then that's cool, but I know that in tournament settings they are much more stricter. They go by the match play game system that the weapons have to be represented on the actual models themselves. But yeah, I would say go for your conversions, go for your proxies, as long as you don't call your cat Warhound Titan or something. I think it's within the realms of reasonability. Michael asks, favourite orc clan? It's got to be Speed Freaks. Absolutely love them, even though I only have a few buggies and bikes and things like that. My army is definitely more of a goth based army, but Speed Freaks, just painting things red, making them go faster is just, yeah, it's hard to not see the funny side in that, and you know that it's true as well, because the orcs, they just ramshackle things together, and it's through their sheer will that these things work when they shouldn't work. I mean, that's incredible. So yeah, that's my favourite orc clan, Speed Freaks. Maxim asks, what direction do you think Forge World will take with the recent changes? I'm not quite sure what you mean by the recent changes. It would have been nice if you were a bit more specific. I'm going to have to hazard a guess at the recent changes in terms of what's going on in the world, and made to order, and the lack of models around. I'm guessing that's what you mean, or maybe you mean in terms of the 40k scene. I can't really answer your question in terms of that recent changes. I think moving forward, Forge World will still be Forge World, and I think that they'll continue to release products weekly if they can for all of the different game systems. I hope that they continue to release Titan weapons and Titans and bigger Titans and all those kind of things. I also hope that they release many more units for things other than Imperium. They've released so many models for Horus Heresy and 40k. Well, not really that much for 40k actually, mainly Horus Heresy, but for the Imperium forces, I really do hope that they focus on 40k and they focus on a bit more Primaris, like with the Overlord. I'd love to see an Overlord super heavy flyer for them at least, and definitely more models and units for the Xenos armies. I would have hoped that they would support the Necron releases a bit more than they have. Paul Cross asks, what model did you enjoy building the most, or gave you the biggest sense of achievement when you finished building it? Of course, it's the Warlord Titan. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed painting in each individual part of that model and putting it together. It was a complete labour of love. I didn't have hardly any issues with it. I'd love to get a second one, but if you get a second Warlord or a second model like that, unfortunately it would take the uniqueness and the sense of awe from having one away from it. Having two does the magic, I think. So yeah, that gave me the biggest sense of, it's the most expensive model they produce and pretty much the biggest, not including the Manta obviously, and that gave me a huge sense of achievement. It told me that if I can build a warlord, I can build anything, and building that and painting it to the standard that I was happy with promoted my hobby skill level to just next level. I now have any model or any kit that I get my hands on, I know that I can do a good job, complete it to the best of my ability. And the final question, it's been a long Q&A today, is by DST. Do you think Games Workshop's pricing strategy takes into account discounters like Element Games? Oh yeah, it definitely does. All of the GW staff that I've ever spoken to totally agree. It doesn't matter where you're getting your models from. I mean, yeah, I would like it if everybody used my affiliate link down below and help the channel out, because then that helps getting all the new releases and things. But yeah, it definitely does take into account that Games Workshop is still getting their money at the end of the day, and they're still making profit on the models they sell to Element Games and other places. I mean, Games Workshop, let's just say, take one example, say a model costs £26.50 and Element Games sell it for £21. I think Games Workshop is still making a profit of between £5 and £10 on that model. So yeah, they're still making a profit. The beauty about these other online retailers is you help the channel out, you're helping that retailer out, that retailer's helping Games Workshop out because they buy in huge quantities, and they also deal with the delivery and things, which Games Workshop don't normally have to deal with, which obviously costs them money as well. Furthermore, Games Workshop don't have to spend the money on like the customer services, so if you have an issue with the product, you'd phone up Element Games rather than Games Workshop. There are savings, and Games Workshop are definitely making money out of it still. I don't think that they ever won't be. I think it'll always be around, and I hope people continue to use the code and help channels like me out, because it would be a dull world where Games Workshop were the only ones that could sell their products and set the prices to whatever they liked, and they didn't help out YouTubers and things. They do help YouTubers. I'm not one of them, but I like I say the competition. I like the fact that other retailers, other businesses can make a bit of money off of selling GW products, and everybody wins that way. The channel gets the funding for the new releases. Games Workshop still get a profit. Element Games get their money and pay for their staff. You guys get all the new videos as well. So it's a nice arrangement. Now, if you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments below. Those last two were from YouTube, so I will pick them up in November. But please, I would prefer if you put all the questions in the Discord server. It's just Super Saiyan. And then I can just grab them all, and then I can just read them from one place. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.